help before, but if anybody wants a tour of kind of who we are and what we're doing and kind of where your donations are going, I'm happy to give that to you guys. Just let me know. Free Food Pantry. We started way back in 1968 as a holiday assistance program called the Christmas Store that just tried to take care of families at the holidays. And that's what you guys have contributed to today, or our 55th edition of the Christmas Store for families in Northern Kentucky and Cincinnati that need help. What's amazing is that the need today is way greater than it has been over the past 3 years, and that's something that none of us in the field and the community really expected. So coming off of COVID, all of us thought that would be the craziest year we ever had. We served 1,520 families in March of 2020 and about 1,700 total people that December. We've already served 3,000 more families this year than we did when the world was paying attention, as we call it, and everything stopped, and that influx of need is not done yet. So this year we're looking to take care of 1,000 kids alone, and we very well may provide 2,000 holiday food assistances this month. But just that overarching number of 3,000 more families have needed help this year than they did when the economy stopped in 2020 is a very strong indicator that what we're doing is important, and more importantly, what you guys have done are important. And one of the most important components of that is what was going on in 2020 was that there were a lot of support out for families. The federal government stepped up and made food available to them. The federal government gave robust unemployment benefits and food stamps and free food and cash stimulus checks. None of that's happening for our families anymore. So we have so many more middle-class families reaching out for help. And then lastly is that inflation that all of us are seeing. You know, everything at the grocery store costs more. Eggs were $1.20 a dozen when COVID struck. They're $3.60 for us now. When you add those number of families in, it's a big difference. And right now there aren't a lot of those public assistance programs available for families. So what we're doing now at Be Concerned through our network is more important than ever because there is no federal storehouse of food to go feed your family. The federal storehouse of food, I will show you. We have it in here. It is 7 items. You cannot feed a family on applesauce, apricots, fruit, and Elba macaroni. So what you guys are doing now is more important than ever. And the other thing is families aren't so afraid anymore over COVID. So more middle-class families have been willing to humble themselves and come and ask for food because they don't feel like they're making a choice between their overall health and hunger. And a lot of families also were very scared during COVID. For the first time in their lives, they had a food security problem. And a lot of our families are willing to come back now because they never want to feel that way they felt in 2020 ever again, of opening that fridge and actually having it being empty, and then opening the pantry and saying, oh my gosh, that's the last box of ramen that we have. So thank you guys for what you're doing. It has been, like I said, I don't think everyone's understanding all the time about it's really bad for our families right now, and more of them are reaching out for help than ever before. But I'm going to show you the food pantry because I'm very proud of what we have built now, because where there's a lot of lack of support from the federal government and other funders that are for our states and our federal government to take their time to make us finally the right decisions. So as you can see, this is kind of some of the federal food I was talking about. During COVID, we had about 20 to 30 rotating items that were all free through a trade mitigation program to where we had to keep food domestic and not send it somewhere else. As you guys can see with the hunger security rating in Northern Kentucky, 1 out of 7 people in Kentucky don't have enough food. That's crazy in 2022 that 1 out of 7 people don't have enough food. This is our backstop food for them. The backstop food's not stretching right now, so donors have donated a ton of this, and we have bought a ton of this to make sure that families have everything duplicated throughout a regular food pantry. So you can see when families come, they come here for a once-a-month shopping trip, and right now they're getting about $160 worth of food. So if they took everything we gave them and went to Kroger to price match it, it would be roughly $160 for a family of 4. We tier everything of families of 1 or 2, 3 or 4 or 5 or more, so that $160 value is coming in right there. It's bigger now than ever. Also, as gas has been expensive, it's more reasonable now, but that's another reason people are turning to us for help. But we do canned goods, we do breads, we do bakery items, we do non-food pantry items or non-eating items, I should say, like cleaners, hygiene products, the same things you and I get to the store when we go. So one of the other things we learned during COVID is that food pantries are more than just for food, right? When we go to Kroger, we just don't go buy our eggs and milk, and then we go get our laundry detergent from Walmart. Normally we don't do that. We get everything we need in one shop. So what we're trying to do is break the stigma that food pantries just give out food and grow it so that food pantries can give out things like what you need to keep your house clean and your clothes clean. Food stamps don't buy diapers, don't buy tampons, don't buy pads. those are everyday necessity items for our families that they should have access to. So we're trying to do our best to grow that as well. And pet food, exactly. So that was another thing. It's kind of my last COVID thing I talk about, is how COVID helped fix a lot of stigmas. So pre-COVID, some people would say, well, if you don't have the money to feed your family, you probably shouldn't be having pets. Well, during COVID, doctors prescribed therapy pets because depression, loneliness, things like that were becoming palpable and very real. And so now we have nice donors that donate to us so that families can get cat or dog food, pretty regularly when they come to get their food. So feeding the four-legged people as well as the two-legged people will become another post-COVID trend. Whew!